Hello and welcome into our post-game video following the Minnesota Vikings Week 6 thrilling and dramatic victory. Why does it have to be thrilling and dramatic? Every week it's thrilling and dramatic, and it doesn't need to be. It's the Carolina Panthers. There's no need for this. Thrilling and dramatic victory in overtime on the road against the Carolina Panthers by the final of 34-28. Before I get into my thoughts about today's game, this team, and where we go from here, don't forget to leave a comment on this video because you could potentially be a participant in our little collaborative group project, which airs tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, I hope, called The Day After. So tomorrow will be the day after Carolina. That is going to be your comments, my reactions, our video. It's our little group collaborative project, as I've already mentioned, on our little corner of Vikings Internet. And what the deal is, if you're new here, you leave a comment down below. I potentially select that to be featured in tomorrow's video. I will react to your comment and use your ideas, your comments as the point of departure for that video. So leave a comment, ask a question. I love answering questions. 5 to 6 sentences is usually pretty good. Keep it short, concise, and to the point. And try to have some original thoughts those are the things that will make it more likely for you to be selected to be in that video. And remember, comments can only be, or screen caps can only be so big. So keep your comments as short and to the point as possible. Having said all of that, now that all of that is out of the way, you know the drill. My thoughts on today's game, this team, and where we go from here. I got to be honest. So we're back to 3-3. And I had said for the majority of this week that this game was winnable. We could definitely beat the Carolina Panthers. They were on the downtrend. They weren't as good as we originally thought when they were the first 3-0 team in the league because they had played garbage up until that point. And today they were exposed as frauds, and rightfully so. So the Carolina Panthers fall to 3-3. They didn't have Christian McCaffrey. That's one thing. And we'll get into more of what they did today that was really abysmal in here in a moment. But the Minnesota Vikings climb out of their 0-2 hole. So I guess I have to give them credit for that to get back to 3-3 on the season. But they're doing this in the most unconvincing fashion imaginable because they went toe-to-toe with the Detroit Lions last week trying to give that game away, and so did the Lions. They just gave it away a little bit better. And then this week, the Carolina Panthers, the Minnesota Vikings, just an abysmal game to watch. Thank God I didn't get to actually watch this game. I had stuff going on that I had to take care of. And, I just followed the game through everybody posting on Twitter, and, it sounded atrocious. Just, what is this team? I don't get it. It's such an enigma. Like, we should feel good about this. Since we started 0-2, we're 3-1, and it's hard to feel good about it. And it makes you wonder why that is. And I don't know. Even the players today in the post-game press conferences said, this is exhausting. We can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable. They're tired of letting these teams hang around instead of putting their foot on the throats and just taking off. And it's not happening. So what are my takeaways from the game? Well, honestly, I don't even have to make this video because we still have a lot of the same problems that we've been talking about. You're telling me last week that Mike Zimmer told his offensive coaches that you need to take this week to self-reflect and self-scout and figure out what we're doing wrong. Something we normally do on a bye week, I want you doing before the Panthers game so that we can come out a little bit more explosive. So you did all of that. And then the first 90% of that game is the result of your self-scouting and self-reflection. I mean, come on. It's so bad. Here's my thing, okay, about the Minnesota Vikings offense. Clearly, this team is good enough, it is offensively powerful enough to attack down the field and put points on the board at will. And we have proof of concept of that because the last 2 games, and even a few games before the Detroit Lions game, this team has marched down the field at will when it matters the most. For whatever reason, they are too stubborn during the first, second, and third quarter to put their foot on the gas and leave it there. You have 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. It is inexcusable that they disappear for large chunks at a time for this game just because you're so obsessed about running the football and eating the clock and playing defense. Give me a break. This needs to stop. I still want people to be fired over this because it is atrocious that it takes a miracle final drive to get into field goal position after all those blunders to beat the Lions. And it is also atrocious for how badly Sam Darnold in this Carolina offense played today for the Vikings to need an overtime miracle once again, 2 weeks in a row. You're you're just putting it in the hands of Kirk Cousins when it doesn't need to happen. Credit to Kirk Cousins, who has been great this season with game-winning drives. Just absolutely incredible the way that he has rose to the occasion this year. After all the shit I gave him this year, the man knows how to just blank it out, zero it out, and not give a shit what we critics say about him. And props to that guy. But it's unnecessary to put him in that position, because if you are capable of going down the field at the end of the game in overtime in the manner that they have done, why can't you do that the rest of the game? You can eliminate the necessary heroicness by Greg Joseph, who did not pull through today, which I kind of saw coming, because I was like, guys, we are kind of using up our mojo when it comes to game-winning field goals by Greg Joseph. He missed the one against Arizona. He got you the one against the Lions. I think you're stressing him out. And this can't be a thing that we rely on Greg Joseph, who hasn't kicked in 2 years, to keep winning you games. That's just not a formula for success, as we learned today. It's not sustainable. He's 1 for 2 in those situations this year. It has to stop. You have to stop putting this on the leg of Greg Joseph. It cannot be a thing anymore. So that is my grief with the offense. Clearly, they're still doing runs on 2nd and long. And, the offense has problems. Kirk Cousins looks out of sync sometimes, in the first half of the game. There was a play where he threw backwards and out of balance, which you obviously cannot do. He missed Justin Jefferson a couple times today, I think, for like wide open walk-in touchdowns. Adam Thielen came back today, storming after being ignored last week against Detroit, put up a great game. It boggles my mind. It boggles my mind when this is the rules favor the passing offense in this league. You have 2 of the best wide receivers and a quarterback that can sling it. What is with the conservative offense? You goddamn boomers who are stuck in the 90s coaching this team have got to change. Otherwise, your mojo is going to run out. Your luck is going to run out. You are insanely lucky to be 3-3 right now heading into the bye week. Kirk Cousins has saved your jobs once again. Going over to the defensive side of the ball, the good news is that Bashaud Breeland actually had a good game, so props to him. I don't think that that's going to happen again, because Sam Darnold is just terrible, and Robbie Anderson was our best player on defense again today, kind of similar to how Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. were for the Browns a few weeks ago, because everything that was thrown toward Robbie Anderson was just dropped, and there was no hope for. I don't know what happened to that guy this year, but he is just fallen off the radar. I don't know if he was just that good with Teddy Bridgewater last year, or if Sam Darnold is really just that bad. Speaking of the offense for the Panthers, we could probably stop talking about Joe Brady being the next offensive whiz to get a head coaching job, because ever since that 3-0 start, he has looked like puke. And I don't know if it's just because Christian McCaffrey's not in there, but if your offense depends on the the skill level and talent of a Christian McCaffrey to be successful, and you can't adjust after that, good God help you, you're not going to make it in this league. But anyway, the good point that I wanted to mention about the defense is the fact that we are almost at our sack total from last year. I believe they have 21 sacks total through 6 weeks. We had 23 all of last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think those numbers are close, but the defensive pass rush is getting home. Thank God. So that's at least good. Scary moment for Patrick Peterson towards the end. It looked way worse than I think it might be. The report on the sideline was that he was suffering from cramps, so hopefully he will not miss a lot of time, because he's been worth every penny so far this season. And if he misses an extended period, our pass defense is going to be really in big time trouble. The special teams, Greg Joseph misses another field goal. We have a blocked punt for some reason. The guy just shoots straight up the middle and returns it for a touchdown. Like, I thought everything was going to unravel right there. And I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the dam breaking. And so there's that. And I think that's basically all of my criticisms for today. But the play calling is bad. Clint Kubiak is not that guy. He has flashes of brilliance every now and then, but he needs to put together a full game, and clearly he's not capable of doing that. And I give him a credit for at least attempting to take over the job. It's his first year play calling, but if this is a team that is supposed to win right now, this first year play caller is not that guy. I don't think he'll be around next year. If anybody on this coaching staff is around next year. So where do we go from here? We get the bye week, which, thank God it's the bye week, because I can't take another week of just, playing down to some poor competition and needing a miracle finish to win the game. KJ Osborne catch was great. And the whole Kirk Cousins thing is great, but I can't do this. I can't do this every week. Like, it's just not a sustainable formula for success. But they're 3-3. They pulled themselves out of an 0-2 hole. Here's the problem. Here's the problem is, yes, we got a win against a team with a winning record. They were 3-2. We knocked them down to 3-3. I don't see another Panthers team, another Lions team, another Seahawks team on this schedule until we get to the next Lions game, because we've got the Cowboys, the Chargers, the 49ers, the Steelers, the Rams. It's hard to convince me that those are wins. It really, really is, based on what we've seen for the last 2 weeks. And I'm very afraid that all this winning against poor teams at the last minute has done is just bought Mike Zimmer time. I don't really think that Mike Zimmer's going to get fired midseason anyway, but I think we would have more clarity that, yeah, it's going to happen. But now it's up in the air. I think we're entering the same false sense of security, or the same false sense of hope that we had last year going into the Dallas game, because we just racked off a bunch of wins against, I believe it was like 3 division games in a row. We had the bye week, and then we beat the Packers, we beat the Lions, we beat the Bears, and then the Dallas game is where everything started to fall apart. So we were 1-5 last year heading into the bye week. We climbed up to 4-5, and then we were 4-6, then we 5-6, and then I think we never got to 500 last year, if I remember correctly. But either way, it looks like it might be a repeat of 2020, just because this team plays so poorly when it doesn't have to. They should have stomped and walked all over Carolina today. That team had no business being in this game. The Vikings are so much better on paper and on the field, and they proved it today. They just can't execute, and the play calling and the coaching decisions are once again a huge problem. So same red flags as last week going into the bye week. I don't know how they clean any of this up. At least this gives time for players to get healthy, to get rested, and a fresh perspective on things. But it's murder's row coming up against a lot of winning teams, so we really have to hope that they can pull it off. So I think I finally know what this team is. It's good enough to win against bad teams, but against really good teams, they're going to struggle, and I think that they're not going to have a lot of success. So those are my takes. Let me know what you think. That was kind of a long rant. I apologize for that, but it's always fun to get on here and let you know how I'm feeling after a Minnesota Vikings game. Let me know how you're feeling, and ask me any question you can think of under the sun. I always like answering those. I sort of give those priority for the day after video. And that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.